Alright, what is up everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games, coming at you with another cool video, and today we are back for the final time in Wind Valley Park for our finale of this series. Well, at least this part of the series. The series is going to be continuing, but it's kind of getting a reboot as we are going to be starting a new park to kind of be the successor to Wind Valley Park. It will still be in the same universe, and basically the storyline will be that we're opening a new park. We're starting on a new park from scratch. So we'll be taking a portion of the earnings from Wind Valley Park and moving it over into the new park. Which is going to be a lot more advanced and just a little bit more planned and thought out than Wind Valley Park. Wind Valley Park turned out to be really, really good. I mean, obviously you guys enjoyed it, so it had to have been somewhat decent, I think, for the most part. So anyways, we are going to be adding a new park to the lineup, and it's going to be, instead of using the challenge mode exactly, I'm still going to call it a challenge park, mostly because it is a challenge. Of more than anything, it's going to be a custom scenario. We're going to build a custom scenario so we can kind of customize all of the things within the build. So basically, we're going to be doing a scenario editor just because I want to have control over how difficult and how everything's going to be. Don't worry, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be a lot more difficult and a lot bigger of a challenge than what Wind Valley Park was. And you might ask why I'm moving on from Wind Valley Park, and it's mostly because, well, it's basically just a sandbox at this point. There's nothing left to prove in this park. The whole point of this series was supposed to be, you know, a challenge, and we've reached that challenge. And in fact, at the end of this video, we actually hit 2 million. By the end of the video, I think it was right after I started recording. After I stopped recording, we actually hit $2 million in game, which is the highest earnings I've ever had in a game that didn't have unlimited money. So very, very cool to see that overall kind of happen right at the end too. I thought it was kind of cool, and kind of like a cool last hurrah from the park and everything. So what you are seeing, this is the fastest time lapse I've ever done, because this is over 4 hours of footage. I had to finish everything up in this episode because, well, you know, there wasn't going to be anything else after this. I mean, we did station and queue line and everything like that. I did do a little transfer room right at the start of the ride here, and as you can see kind of how it turned out. I think it turned out pretty cool. We used like a steel structure, and I think it would just fit the station aesthetic the best out of everything, is to have kind of like this steel structure and everything for this Supernova coaster. So I was using a little bit of Orion as my inspiration, so you can see there for a split second that I had some Orion photos up of their station. I mean, it wasn't like crazy inspired, but it was, I just wanted something to look off of. So mostly from the metal roof and the metal framing and stuff is kind of mostly where I got all that from. So yeah, we had to do a station here and figure out how the queue line's going to get all the way down towards the entrance and the exit as well, which was kind of always going to be a challenge because of how high up on the terrain it is, and anytime you use terrain in Planet Coaster, it could be kind of a challenge to figure out, especially if you want it to look somewhat decent as well. So I think I put together a pretty good little queue line here. The only thing is that the queue line is kind of honestly kind of short for a ride like this. This actually will have the highest excitement rating out of all the coasters and rides in the park, so it's actually very important so that it has a long queue line, because it's going to have a lot of guests in it. So that's something I do want to figure out, or do something in the new park, is we're going to do a lot of settings and figure out the best kind of settings. So the next episode you see of the challenge park is going to be a new park, and we're actually going to be doing the setup process. So it's not going to be, you could say, not going to be episode 1, but it's going to be more so me trying to figure out all the settings for that park itself, which is going to take a whole video, because it is I gotta set everything up, and I want everything, like, I'm gonna go in detail setting everything up, like each category, each and everything, an aspect. One thing I do want to make sure of is we're going to turn down the breakdown rate of the rides, for sure. In the next new park, it was just a little bit too much in the this one. So anyways, I am going to give myself a decent, so basically what I'm going to do is going to give myself a pretty decent budget to work with, and then we're going to use that budget. But however, everything's going to be a lot more difficult. It's going to be harder to gain guests into the park, and I'm going to make it really difficult to please them and make them happy. So I'm going to have to really focus on a lot of stuff, and I want to focus a lot on theming and everything like that. It's going to be just like the first park, where we can only start out probably with a few rides and attractions in one kind of main area, and it's going to build off of that. So it is still going to have that storyline kind of feel to it, where we kind of update the park and upgrade everything and add new attractions and rides throughout the years. And we're going to go from there and see how it goes. And I might even end up trying to put in an objective, and the objective would be what the final goal for the park is. We might continue the park after we hit the objectives, but it will just be kind of interesting to see. Now, I haven't exactly, it may or may not at this point, as the recording, I don't have it up yet, but I was going to post this park on the Steam Workshop so you guys had access to it, but I've ran into a little bit of an issue trying to get it up. It's basically saying that I have toolkit items that are not uploaded to the Steam Workshop, which is kind of interesting because they are all uploaded to the Steam Workshop, the ones that I use, and the only one I could think of was the Forbidden Timber sign, and I went and uploaded it to the Steam Workshop to make sure it's on there, and it's still saying it. So I don't know, I haven't checked it since I first did that, so I did restart the game and it still said that, so maybe I had to give it a little bit before it will actually let me do it. I'm going to try it again soon, but check the link in the description to see if it is there. As this recording is going on, I still don't have it, but I'm going to work on, of course, getting it on the workshop, because that's the only item that is custom that would have been built by me, or made by, or modeled by me, but I did upload it to the workshop at this point. So kind of an interesting thing there that I haven't figured out, because so many of you have been wanting this to go onto the workshop as well. So I'm going to try and make sure I get that as best as I can. It could be a little bit late, but hopefully it is at some point going to be in the description or in the comments or something. So just keep a lookout for that, or just follow my workshop page on Steam and everything, and make sure you're watching out for it on Steam as well if you do want to download the park at some point. And I do kind of want to make sure, I do want to try and get some of the custom audio files that I have used in the park as well, so you guys can get the full experience, because there are a couple of soundtracks and audio files that I did use for Wind Valley Park. I did use an announcement for a Forbidden Timbers, and then also a custom audio track for Star Rush and the space area kind of in general, so you guys can have access to all those audio files and to get the full experience of this park. So I'm going to be working on getting that out to you guys. Again, just kind of keep a lookout for it if it's not already up. If it is already up, be sure to enjoy the park, and I hope you have enjoyed this journey as much as I have with this park. And I just kind of want to go back and remember where this park kind of started, and it's just kind of crazy because I just was bored one day. It wasn't even planned. Like, it was a spontaneous thing where I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to try and record a YouTube video, and let's do a challenge park. I'd done challenge parks in the past, but I hadn't done a proper one, and not one that I kind of, completed, kept going in and all that. And I decided, you know what, I'm just going to give it kind of something a little bit unique, I'm going to make it a challenge park, and we're going to kind of make it a story park at the same time. So My idea was to kind of go through the years and build throughout the years of a park and build it into what it would eventually become today, which is crazy to think. And I had to worry about money and management in the game, so that was a big ordeal and everything for that. And it ended up turning out way bigger than I expected, because I was expecting to maybe only do a few episodes and then be done with it. But no, you guys absolutely embraced this series like crazy, and the first episode is like almost to 80,000 views at this point, which is absolutely crazy to me that it's still getting views to this day. Like, it still gets like, I think like 1,000 to 2,000 views a month still. So it's crazy to me that it's still getting that many views, even at this point in time, even though it's been up for almost 2 years now, and it's still getting thousands of more views. So I just want to say thank you guys, and you guys are the reason why this series kept going, is because you guys subscribed and you guys kept watching, and the series did real well, so I had to keep it going. I enjoyed the series so much when I first started that I was starting to upload episodes like almost every day, and there were points where I was uploading every day, and very, very often. And then I did have a moment or two maybe when I did get a little burnt out from working on the park and building each and every year up and everything, and it did kind of go silent on the channel for a little bit, for a while. And until obviously now, when we kind of decided what I was going to do for the end of this series, and that was to create this incredible Giga Coaster, because a lot of people have been requesting a Giga Coaster in this park, and I figured what better way to send this park off with a mega Giga Coaster that would tower over the entire park and just kind of be that ride, you know. This park lineup of rides is just insane. The coaster lineup is would probably be one of the best in the world if it did exist. I mean, you got 4 B&Ms? Let's see, we got a Giga Coaster, Hyper Coaster, a Dive Coaster, and a Floorless Coaster. So that's 4 B&Ms, some of their best models too. And then we have an Intamin Blitz, kind of like in the style of Velocicoaster, with a Lightning Chaser, with no trims, by the way. And we also have a Gravity Group wooden coaster inspired by the Voyage, which is known to be as one of the best, if not the best, wood coaster on the planet. Which I think that turned out as one of the best rides I've built in this park for sure. We also have an RMC iBox track, a crazy RMC, which is insane enough because it's a hyper RMC as well. Like, it's over 200 feet, so it's insanely big and huge, humongous, you know. Anyways, but yeah, the ride lineup is just absolutely ridiculous and absolutely crazy. But I want to do a little bit of lighting, and before we got too far with this, of course, I wanted to do some lighting on this ride. And of course, a lot, you know, all the B&M Gigas have those neon lights going up the lift hill. I decided to do some here, and then realized that Planet Coaster was gonna mess with me with the angles of the lights, and I had to restart at one point, as you can see here, and we had to redo it again, and I had to double check my work to make sure that it wasn't going to go off again. So yep, that ended up happening, but it ended up being alright, and it worked out just fine. We got the nice blue neon light going all the way up the lift hill, which takes some time to get up to the top. I mean, this is a 335-foot tall lift hill, so but it ended up being worth it, as it did work out. The smaller pieces that I use to level out the top here, the draw distance is ridiculous because they go away pretty quickly, which is insane. It's still crazy to me that this is the longest episode in the Wind Valley series. Now, the time-wise, it might be shorter than the last episode, but that's because I made the time-lapse a little faster, and the time-lapse is actually over 1,200 times faster, or 1,200% faster than the original footage. So it was over 44 hours of footage because the last episode was about a little over 3.5 hours. So, but anytime you've seen pauses in the time lapses, it's probably because we hit a autosave, and some autosaves are worse than others. I actually had one autosave that wasn't too bad during this time lapse. So it actually, I think it was that last one that it actually wasn't too bad and didn't freeze up the game all that much. It did a little bit, but it wasn't long before it got back up. So yeah, so then of course we had to take care of the exit ramp. You kind of saw what I did with the queue line a little bit, and we're gonna follow suit with the exit ramp as well, and just kind of use the building pieces as our kind of like ramp and support structure for these guys. And the little curve, we're going to use the same thing as well. We're going to use those little corner pieces, those little column pieces, to kind of round around those little angled pieces as well. So I wanted to keep it kind of simple for the exit, nothing too crazy. And this ride is kind of like, think of it kind of like in more of an amusement park theming kind of level, where there is some theming, but it's not themed like ridiculously themed, you know. It's just kind of there, and it's got a basic theme to it, but like it's not going to be something ridiculously crazy. And of course we had to add the pathway and do a perimeter fence around this path, because this path does go through the Star Rush perimeter. So I figured it was the best way to connect the ride with the pathway, especially if I wanted to keep it in the space themed section of the park. So, you know, this park is mostly, I would say, more of an amusement park rather than a theme park, because yes, there are some loose themes kind of in some of the rides. Some rides are more themed than others, like Forbidden Timbers actually has some decent theming, and Star Rush had some decent theming, you know, and just some general rides did have some good theming. Each section has its own theme, of course. You know, you have this Storm Valley and all these different themed lands as well, Wind Valley Cove and all that, you know. So, and then the forest area, and then the America family area that we did. So yeah, there's a lot of good themed elements in the park. But the new challenge park after this is going to, I think we're going to focus a lot on theming. I think that's going to be the main focus. Is like, it may not be as big of a park, but it's definitely going to have a lot more detailing, and I want to make it super detailed and look really nice. Give or take, that might be a little difficult at the beginning, but that's why I'm giving myself an extra budget at the beginning. I haven't decided how much just yet, but it's probably going to be in the realm of, I don't know, $30,000 or something like that. I'm going to give myself a good budget to build like a base of the park. Like the first bit of the park is going to have some decent budget, but retaining that money is going to be the tough part as well. So that's going to be the challenge. And then I'm going to do some general settings, you know, when it comes to the scenario, because again, it's going to be a scenario. So keep a lookout for that. And I might even upload the scenario in the early stages, so you guys can go in and try it out for yourselves as well. That might be a thing we might actually do, is make it where you guys can actually take over and see how you would build the park out. So, and see if you can reach the objectives within the park as well. So I want it to be a really great series, and I know it's going to do great. I know you guys are going to watch it. You guys love this series. If you guys like this series a lot, and that's the reason why you subscribe, you're going to love the new series. So make sure you keep an eye out for the next challenge park. It's probably going to be labeled as episode 1 and not episode 61, because it is kind of a continuation of the series, but it is going to be its own thing. So at the same time, so think of it kind of like as seasons, almost like this was season 1 and that's going to be season 2 in a way. I kind of made it to where like every 10 episodes was a season, but it's kind of like a new chapter, basically a new chapter in the Challenge Park series. So just keep a lookout for kind of like that challenge park kind of vibe to it. And the first video we're gonna do is getting the setup for the park, and it might not be labeled as episode 1, so it might be labeled as something else, like setting up the next new challenge park or something like that. And then we'll do episode 1. So the setup process isn't gonna have any building or anything like that, so keep that in mind. But I wanted to do like a cool little service road going from the back of the park as well, and that's kind of what we did here, and just kind of some finishing touches. But yeah, that's gonna be a wrap for Wind Valley Park. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this wonderful journey for Wind Valley Park. We're gonna have a lot of cinematic videos coming up, so keep a lookout for those, a park tour and everything. So those videos are coming very soon. Keep a lookout for those and the new challenge park. So thank you guys so much for being here with me, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day, and we close tomorrow. And for the last time, goodbye.